Hey friends, welcome to the fifth and final episode of the Youth Ministry Roadmap. Hopefully you've seen in the first 4 videos and learned what it means to discover, build, develop, and scale. Now we finally get to talk about what it looks like to succeed in youth ministry. It may not be the success that you were expecting, but hopefully by the end of this video, you will feel encouraged that this is where you wanted to get to all along. I believe that successful ministry has very little to do with a number. Let's just say it. There is no number of students that will satisfy you. If you have a ministry of 50, you're going to want 60. And if you have 100, you're going to want 200. And if you have 300, you're probably going to want 3,000. But what might feel satisfying is that knowing that if you left, got called to serve somewhere else, or finished this season of life in ministry, you had left and the ministry was still thriving. The youth ministry was still going after you were gone. This isn't to say that a healthy student ministry shouldn't grow and reveal its health in different ways, but first and foremost, it should be able to withstand challenges and continue to grow even after you have left. When you walk out, it should be better than how you found it and persist. Put simply, our definition of success is this: would your ministry thrive if you left? So the leaders of this ministry would be equipped and trained, they'd be excited and willing and able to engage with students in the group and in a wider community, even if you weren't in the office. Part of what's great about this definition is that it doesn't matter how many students you have. The Youth Ministry Roadmap is meant to apply to a lot of different size church and context, and that includes redefining our definition of success. What we're trying to do is bigger than ourselves. It's something that outlasts us. And so for us, as we think through this process of leaving our ministry, we have to be asking ourselves, how do we get to a point where this group thrives even after we're gone? Often when youth pastors leave, the students are crestfallen because the youth ministry used to be great and now it's not. Parents feel let down. People are struggling to say nice things about the youth minister after you, and you just want to know what happened. Often it's because so many folks build the ministry around their personality, their personal philosophy, and their personal preference that may not fit the church context. It never takes root. That's often because the student pastor didn't put out a firm vision of what the ministry was and is, and it wasn't integrated into the life of the larger church. From the beginning, you were trying to answer the good questions and to look for the church inside the context of this community. If you are working to answer those questions all along and building and developing and scaling from those answers, then it was never about you. And if it was about you, then it will fall apart. But what we've been working on is something different. And that's why I think it's so important for you to walk the roadmap, to see what it means to do ministry well, because we have to have a plan from the beginning. Because one day you will leave. All of us are somewhere for a season. And so if you're hearing this and you are a youth minister who feels stuck or on the way out, or challenge to you is not to go back and look at the receipts of how many students were added, how much money was saved, or how big the youth ministry building is now because of you. Instead, ask yourself, is it healthy enough to transform the lives of young people even if I'm not there week to week? Also think this way. Where are your students at after they graduate? Of course, we can't control their life choices or where they end up, but I think it's a fair ask. Hey, when these students are getting, as they walk out, what do they actually know? What tools have we given them? How have we prepared them to give them best possible opportunity for their future to be successful in life and faith? Will they continue to grow as people and disciples? That way we're not just looking at moment to moment or week to week. We're looking for long-term impact. Youth ministry is a long game and a short season. What we're doing now is not just about now, but the next 5 to 50 years. And that's why it requires a strong vision and a healthy system. It's never about some event or summer camp experience in isolation. It's about the big picture. You work tirelessly for a bunch of snot-nosed 14-year-olds because you see potential in them that they did not see for themselves. So for you, success is not just having more in the room, but when they graduated, they were better off because they were rooted deeply in a healthy gospel community. I've heard it said, don't aspire to be Billy Graham, aspire to be the guy that discipled Billy Graham. Oftentimes we might want the accolades, but the real thing we strive for is to be faithful and encourage those who will go on to do wonderful things. For us as youth ministers, that is my hope and prayer, and I hope it is for you as well. So there you go. That's the Youth Ministry Roadmap. Ultimately, we have to remember that it's not about me or you. It's about one person, not about one person or even one small group of people. It's about serving the church. It's about the ministry, and it's about the kingdom of Jesus. That's why we created this roadmap, and I think we can think more intentionally from the start about where we're headed and where we're trying to get to as youth ministers. Don't get me wrong. If we run blindly through youth ministry, God can still use that in powerful ways. We've seen it time and time again. But if we want to do the best we can possibly do, we don't just hope that it happens. We should instead be intentional with our efforts. At the end of our time, when we look back at our years in ministry, we have to ask, what was it for? And my prayer for each and every youth minister watching now, that you've made an impact on people who have never met you, and that the grandchildren of grandchildren who were affected because of your faithful ministry you steward today will be blessed. For me, that makes the exhausting lock-ins and long nights of camp worth it. It makes the painstaking process of writing out a philosophy and vision statement and PowerPoint worth it. And I hope that this roadmap has been helpful and worth it for you. Please feel free to watch and rewatch any parts that you need, because we'll be going in and out of these phases at various times in your ministry. And always remember that you have a community here, and this challenge was worthy of your calling. Bless.